The second thing is a lot of people think that idol worship is part of Buddhism. Idol worship is not a part of Buddhism. It seems that for 500 years after the Buddha passed away, there were no statues, there were no idols. Nobody prayed to idols. Even a statue of the Buddha, nobody made, because they understood the Dhamma. They understood that the Dhamma was to be practiced, that everything was inside. Everything depends on the inside, on your mind, not on external things. So a lot of so-called Buddhists come to the temple or the Buddhist society to pray. What in Chinese we call Pai Fo, right? Pai Hut, But that is not the practice of Buddhism, not to pray, but to swear for, right? Swear for is to study the Buddha's teachings, to walk the path that the Buddha walked, and which the Buddha encouraged us to walk, to minimize our suffering, and if possible to end our suffering totally. So the statues that you find in a lot of temples like Kuan Yin, the goddess of mercy, Amitabha Buddha, I think here, Medicine Master Buddha, all these are not part of original Buddhism. They are part of Mahayana Buddhism. And they are also part of Tibetan Buddhism, but they are not part of original Buddhism. Kuan Yin actually, what we call Kuan Yin in Sanskrit is Avalokiteswara. And this word Avalokiteswara, the last word is Iswara. Nowadays you look at proton cars, they put Iswara. Actually the word means God. The word means God. So Avalokiteswara is the God who contemplates the sounds of the world. And the earliest statues of Avalokitesvara that came over to China was a statue of a man with a moustache, a bit of a beard. And then the Chinese people thought, this God is supposed to be very compassionate. The man's heart is not as compassionate as a woman's heart, right? So they changed Kuan Yin from a man to a woman. And they created stories about how Kuan Yin manifested in China, the daughter of a fisherwoman, a fisherman. So that's one story of Kuan Yin. Another legend, that Kuan Yin was reborn as the princess in China. One of the princesses in China was supposed to be very compassionate, so they said she was a Hua Shen, Kuan Yin Hua Shen, right? Manifestation of Kuan Yin. So that is all not part of original Buddhism. Amitabha Buddha, according to a Mahayana book I've seen, was supposed to be a Persian god, Persian sun god. So because the sun sets in the west, so they say that this Amitabha resides in the west. Every day comes up in the east, will go back to the west, right? So that is why this Amitabha is known as the Buddha of limitless light, right? Amitabha, Amitayas, it means limitless light. So all these grew up later. It is not part of original Buddhism. Medicine Master Buddha also. So you have to differentiate a lot of these later additions that came into Buddhism, which were not part of the original Buddha's teachings. So actually, originally there were no statues, no idol worship. And this is what we are trying to do in our new monastery in Timor. We're not going to have any idols, not going to have any Buddha images. Because some of our supporters, they were astonished. They say, how can you have a temple, a monastery without a Buddha statue? This is what we are going to do.